Welcome to episode 146 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I am Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
And we are back. It took us a couple weeks to figure out how to make this all work technologically, since we are now sequestered, separated from each other. It's a sad, sad existence, but we think we figured it out.
Yeah, we're moving forward. It took us a few weeks to figure out how to Google how to podcast.
I wish I could say that, like, now that because of all this I have more free time. I don't. I'm still basically like working full days.
Yeah.
So it took me a little bit of time to get this all sorted. But yeah, we're making it happen. I hope everyone who's listening is home and safe and healthy and surviving in this madness. And I mean, I don't know if listening to us will help at all if you're trying to stave off madness. But I guess if you're listening, you enjoy it. So
yeah, just the soothed, calming voices of the DC animated universe.
Two idiots talking about Coolio. Oh, so much to say about Coolio this week. So we're going to do our usual news, and then we're going to talk about Attack of the Living Brains, and then Duped, the next
Brain
two episodes.
puppets, excuse me.
Oh, brain puppets, right.
Yes, please, these are not zombies. These are brain puppets.
I mean, I would watch an episode, Attack of the Living Brains.
Yes.
But we also get some very unexpected cameos this week, which will be a lot of fun to talk about.
I think this is the most name dropped an episode has been so far.
It's oh my god, we'll get into it. I don't have much to say about the episode. I have a lot to say about the cameos.
Yes.
But starting off with some news here. So obviously, with basically the entire entertainment industry shut down, there's not a lot of new news coming out, but the big thing that's happening is obviously lots of release dates are getting pushed as a result of the coronavirus and literally the box office being closed. And I feel like a lot of them were kind of expected, like Bond had got pushed before everything went into proper lockdown. Wonder Woman's gotten pushed. But I feel like the kind of big change that's happening right now is with Disney and Marvel specifically, since like their films are very structured around their release dates. And I think you, Cameron, you sent me a list, right, of like what had gotten pushed.
Yes. Yeah. So we have for the Disney, so basically what Disney announced altogether. Mulan, we knew is being pushed to the end of July. The French Dispatch, which I don't know what that is. I assume some live action.
That's Wes Anderson, right?
It is. That's right. Okay, so the Wes Anderson movie is being pushed to October.
Oh, because again, is that Fox Searchlight?
I think so. I think, yeah, all of his movies are through Searchlight. Black Widow, the first of the MCU movies, is being pushed to November 6th. So we're still going to get this year. Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds comedy, is being pushed to December 11th. Eternals, which would be the next Marvel film after that, is being pushed to next February. Shang-Chi, which that's also Marvel, right?
Yeah, that's MCU.
Okay. Gotcha. That's being pushed to May 7th. The Jungle Cruise movie is being pushed to next year, July 30th. Doctor Strange, November 5th, 2021. Thor 4 is being pushed to February 28th, 2022. Captain Marvel 2 is July 2022. And then with, for me, a surprising one, which I did not even know was in production, is Indiana Jones is announced to be July 29th, 2022.
Yeah, they're still forcing that upon us. I mean, the most recent story prior to the release date, I guess, changed. I'm not sure if it ever had that date beforehand, was that it looks like Steven Spielberg may not be directing, but James Mangold might be doing it instead. For those of you who don't know who James Mangold is, he is the director of Kate and Leopold, which was one of my weird, like, guilty pleasure rom-coms of the early 2000s. But far more recent and relevant, he directed Logan and Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he also did 3:10 to Yuma. Like, I don't know. It seems weird to do Indiana Jones without Spielberg, but if someone's going to do it, I'd be pretty okay with James Mangold, who's proven consistently that he's not only a great director, but he can kind of jump into any genre and, like, just be a master at it pretty much instantaneously. He's I think one of actually the best directors out right now, so that could be interesting. But I mean, so looking at like even Mulan, July now, do we even think that's going to keep?
I mean, I hope so. because I think the problem now is there's no space left in 2020. And that's why we're seeing movies being pushed like a full year, is for these box offices to continue to make money and hit the kind of numbers they're expecting and hoping to hit. They can't fit anything else in this year. Everything is already competing with itself.
Yeah. No, I mean, it shows that Bond was smart being one of the first ones to push till November, because they were able to kind of like plant a flag there and stave off competition. Although,
and didn't you say Bond normally comes out in November?
Yeah, Bond's normally a November film, but actually, I think now like Black Widow.
Do you have poker chips next to you?
Do I have poker chips next to me?
Yeah, there's like I'm picking up like you're playing with poker chips.
No, it's my keyboard.
Oh.
Yeah. Cameron, you are far more like the fidgeter of the two of us. I love that's where your brain went, though.
Yeah, I feel like you would have poker chips next to you.
I mean, anytime I'm talking James Bond, I immediately have to have my my official Casino Royale poker chips.
Exactly.
Just like sit and stack and flick between my fingers, a la La Chiffre.
Yes, just ruffle a little bit. I couldn't, when I was in Vegas, I couldn't stop doing the coin trick.
Did everyone hate you?
No, because I didn't drop them.
Oh, okay.
I know what I'm doing. I practiced a lot.
That would be really embarrassing to like practice doing that at the table.
Yeah.
And just constantly fumble the chips and piss everybody off.
Well, it was like back in the day in high school when I was pin spinning and I taught everyone in class, and it was just like a cacophony of pins hitting the ground for 45 minutes.
I'm sure they loved you.
Oh no, I was fine. It was the rest of the class that didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, but they all blame. I'm sure all the teachers knew it was you, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's such a menace, Cameron. Everywhere
I
you
am.
go. So, what I think is also interesting here with like these release dates is we're also seeing more stuff going either straight to streaming or having the theatrical window like close up. So, as a recording, Onward has just gone up on Disney Plus. Artemis Fowl is going to go straight to Disney Plus, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, that's not surprising because I feel like Disney has no faith in that movie.
No, I mean, they've pushed that movie so many times.
I think it was supposed to come out in 2017 or 2018 was the first trailer we got.
Something like that. I mean, at this point, it's that and New Mutants, right, are the two films that Disney's just like, what the hell do we do with these?
Yeah. And I think for Disney specifically with those like non-remake live action films, Disney has consistently... Or not Disney. Those movies have consistently underperformed in the box office and greatly underperformed with reviews.
Oh, yeah.
So you're thinking Wrinkle in Time did horribly. Before that, if we go back a couple years, Tomorrowland is that same bucket. Or it's these grand scale movies, and it's like no one cares.
Yeah.
I care. I go see them all.
You're the last person still going and seeing those movies. How many times have you seen Tomorrowland?
3 times.
Oh my God, you are the only person on the planet who's seen that movie.
So I watched it I watched it twice in theaters. The second time, hoping I would like it more. Because like that's a movie I wanted to like that movie so badly.
Yeah, same.
It was such a cool premise. It was Brad Bird.
Yeah. I know. So It just didn't work. I did listen to the score recently on it. It's not bad.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
The trailer is great.
Yeah. It's just the movie was so drab and boring instead of being like fun and exciting.
Yeah. Like we wanted to see Tomorrowland.
Yeah. And we just got like basically none of it. We just got that one tease that was in the trailer. So fuck it. Just watch the trailer, skip the movie. So, I mean, but do you think that this is the beginning of a tipping point where studios are now going to be more open to putting things up on their in-house streaming platforms rather than putting in the theater if they're not super sold on it?
No.
No, okay.
I don't think so. I don't think there's enough money in this.
You think this is just a fluke? You think this is just like whatever they can do to try and, recover some costs? They're going to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think Universal or Warner has put out their numbers, but Universal and Warner were the first to jump on putting their movies out digitally first. Or not first, but, they were pretty quick from theater to stream.
Yeah. I mean, basically, once the theaters close, they're like, well, fuck it. Just put it out.
Yeah. And I wish they would have put up the numbers they made, but I don't think they made much.
No, probably not. I mean, it's tough because even if they put it up on iTunes to buy, that's $20. So that's one movie ticket now, at least for LA.
Right. Imagine for like Onward, you're going with your family to see that. And now you're dropping $20 to get Onward for potentially a family of 4.
Yeah, exactly. Versus spending between like $15, $80 to go see that in the theater.
And those are the ethical people that actually buy it. You have to think of, the huge market of once one person buys it, the whole internet has it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like it's just out there now. And I think what I found most surprising on all of this was that they put Onward on Disney Plus so quickly. Because that, for me, seemed like a Pixar movie that no one was super excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And like now that it's up on Disney Plus, I'll absolutely watch it. But, I was not going to... I may have rented it on iTunes, but I wasn't going to buy it on iTunes. And I really wasn't interested in seeing it in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess this is just a recovery tactic on their part, but I don't know. I'll be very curious to see now if this does overall shorten the theatrical window. But like you said, we probably won't know because no one's putting out any numbers.
Yeah, and I feel like all of the numbers are underperforming.
Yeah.
What I could see come out of this are more Netflix kind of movies. Or for Disney, I feel like their direct-to-video market could have a huge surge after this.
Oh, that's true.
They can bring back the shitty sequels of the 90s. We can meet Ariel's daughter again. We can have a what-if story of Cinderella didn't get the glass slipper.
We can have the 5th Lion King movie.
Oh, my God, yeah.
This time it'll be like Simba's granddaughter.
It'll focus on Zazu instead.
I mean, hey, if they brought back Rowan Atkinson, I'd watch that.
That's true. Same. Lion King 1 3/4. You just follow Zazu.
The Lion King 9 3/4. The crossover no one expected. I don't know. I mean, it's all pretty crazy. Like, I mean, I think even these release dates are hoping that the theaters will be back open again come July. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. And even then, it's like, will people still want to go to the theater, or is this maybe one of like the final nails in the coffin of like the theatrical experience?
So there's a story that I read the other day, which it gave me a nice bit of hope for like public outings again in the future.
Okay.
But in the midst of all of everything closing, there's one market that's still booming in Texas, and that's the drive-in theater market.
Oh, yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, with this, I mean, you need space for a drive-in theater, which is not ample in LA.
No.
But I could definitely see this being a resurgence for the drive-in market, or we could see some of these kind of start popping up again, and like that being the new theater experience.
Yeah, I mean, you've gone to a drive-in before?
I've never done a drive-in before.
Okay, I haven't either, actually. I feel like it could be kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all movies make it look like so much fun and so rambunctious.
Right. I don't know. I mean, it definitely could be interesting if that does start to swing back around again. Because let's be honest, like even as it was, going to theater already was just kind of shitty. Like I feel like most of the times I would go, I'd have someone being talkative or on their phone or just, difficult.
Yeah, there's so many other distractions.
Yeah.
And I would love for this to be a time for theaters to kind of revamp in some way. I don't know how they would do it.
Oh my God! Do you think they'll try once again to do the phone screenings. Like, remember that was a thing a couple years ago where one of the chains, maybe it was AMC, was considering having certain showings where you were allowed to have your phone out.
Oh God, no. Because I want them to go the other way. I want some kind of device where just over the seats specifically, like the aisles would be fine, but over the seats specifically, it would be a permanent dead zone.
I want to put a movie theater inside a Faraday cage so no signal can get inside and out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like you need, on the sides, you need to be able to get out in case there is some kind of emergency. So I just need it on, like, the seats.
Yeah, I'm so down. You know, because we all know that the theaters are going to have so much more money after this to build Faraday cages.
Yeah. I mean, but that is an interesting idea, though. Like, once the quarantine is lifted, will people just, like, what will the curve look like of social activity? Because if we look at what China's doing right now, there was no boom like I was expecting, because people were so scared to go out. It, you know, the curve of kind of social activity and I think it was through restaurants. It was what they were basing it off of. It was a very gradual rise back up of people slowly coming out, slowly still in fear of being outside.
Yeah, I think we're still going to see that here too, where, I mean, I feel like some areas might get slightly more of a spike. Like, I imagine like LA residents, for example, who are used to being able to be outside and be very sociable, are going to like jump at the chance to not be in their apartments and houses.
I mean,
anymore.
the second movie theaters are open again, I'm going to buy a full day's worth of tickets.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to see you for a week. You're basically going to self-isolate inside the Grove.
Yeah, pretty much. But I've also been thinking about, like, what is Disney going to look like after this? Disneyland and Disney World.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that too. I mean, this is the longest it's ever been closed.
Yeah.
And
Disney World also has, so when Disneyland, when you enter the park, they have the photo system where you scan your pass, they take a photo of you, and then you go in. Disney World is a biometric sensor, so it's a finger touch. It's a 2-finger touch, yeah. And they just finished converting all the parks to this, you know, within the past 5 years.
Oh shit!
And so, like, well, obviously they can't do that right now.
That's surprising. I didn't know they were doing that. That's a weird move on their part.
Well, I mean, because it was all through the Magic Band. There was no proof that was to connect your band to you. So you scan your Magic Band, and then it cuts cast members, so you don't need people at the front gate anymore.
Oh, okay.
Except, you know, like one security person every kind of 6 stations. So you have a person scan their Magic Band, touch the sensor, it lights up green, and then you walk through.
Oh my God, how impersonal.
Yeah.
How Disney.
How 21st century.
I mean, let's be honest. Disneyland will still be packed. I mean,
oh my God, yeah.
The 2 days from when they announced the park was closing to when it actually closed, they were at max capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So Disney fans are going to go straight back there regardless.
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
I would like to say that I would be smarter than that.
No, you'll be back there.
Yeah, we'll see what time says.
Yeah. You'll be in line at 4 a.m. waiting for the gates to open.
Yeah, well, because we can also kind of base this off of what Shanghai is doing, because Shanghai opened their Disneyland about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But they're opening in kind of quadrants. So the first thing they opened, and I'm sure Disney World will open this way, the first thing they opened was their downtown area. So Disney Springs over in World, downtown Disney out here will probably open first, and then you'll get kind of the restaurants moving and kind of the small businesses there moving. And then they opened up kind of their Main Street and one land, and with very limited access and very limited capacity. And they're kind of going like one land at a time, opening up the rest of the park.
Huh.
And then like no shows are going on yet, so no theater experiences, no parades.
Wait, but what if I really want to spend an afternoon with Mr. Lincoln?
I'm sorry, Chris, you can't do it.
It's the only reason worth going to Disneyland.
I know. Can't see that. Can't see Muppet Vision. And what do we have? Philhar Magic.
Tragic.
Yeah, it'll be very fascinating what's going to happen to the parks after all this.
No, it definitely will be. But hey, you know what? At least in the meantime, we have so many streaming platforms to keep ourselves busy.
And more to come.
And more to come. I know. Thank God all of Static Shock is up on DC Universe, so we could actually watch it during all of this. Well, actually, on that topic, shall we go ahead and move on to our episodes of the week?
Yeah, let's talk about some Static.
All right. So first up is Attack of the Living Brain Puppets.
Thank you.
Yes. Which this is kind of an odd one a little bit. So the villain in this is like the perfect schoolgirl, Madeline Spaulding, who wants to run for freshman president. Yep. And apparently she's also a bang baby and has the ability to control people's minds. And so she starts going around
and read minds.
That's true. Read minds and control them. She's basically got Professor X powers. Mm-hmm. And so she's using it to try and run for the school president. She discovers who Static is and also that her powers don't work on him. So then she basically turns the entire town into like mindless zombie-like creatures to like hunt him down and stop him. I don't know. It's kind of a, very much an episode of the week sort of thing for me. Like,
is this the Halloween episode, you think? I forgot to look up when this episode came out.
No, this came out in April of 2002.
Great. So we have Christmas in July. We have half Christmas. This is half Halloween.
It's half Halloween, yeah. But let's be honest. Like I think pretty much every cartoon at some point does a zombie episode, right? Like I'm rewatching the Clone Wars right now, and even that show did a zombie episode at some point. Mm-hmm. So everyone just has to find their like in-universe justification for it. And I mean, I guess if you're going to use telekinesis or telepathy as a justification, it kind of works. Mm-hmm. It did give us that great moment where Richie recreates like the famous shot from Invasion of the Body Snatchers when he just screams at Static. That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like the episode's like kind of okay. But my big thing on it was I think this has the worst messaging of any Static episode we've watched so far.
Popularity wins?
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes. So two things. One is popularity wins. So no one likes Madeline, even though, like, I mean, in some ways she's kind of modeled after the classic version of the type A model A student, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess she just like takes it too far. That's why no one likes her. But she has to use her powers trying to get any sort of attention. And then she's going up against Richie, who's running on a let's fix the vending machine platform.
Yeah.
Did you ever have anything like that in school of like someone like running on kind of like a joke platform like that for student body?
I don't think so.
I feel like that's...
we had the same class president all 4 years of high school.
No term limits, I see.
No.
I feel like this is one of those high school tropes that only exists in fiction.
Yeah, it's this one, and then like the major petitioning for homecoming king and queen.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think any of that sort of shit actually happens. Like, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's been many years since I graduated high school at this point. But I don't remember that ever being a big thing about like, oh, who's running and like the drama behind it and the conflict. Like, it just doesn't really exist. I feel like the cartoons and the high school TV shows use that because they have to like add drama to what is otherwise like, let's be honest, like not a super dramatic part of your life.
Yeah, like, but maybe there might be some school because we also come from very unique schooling backgrounds.
Yeah.
So maybe some public schools have this kind of situation.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like none of this stuff is important, but in the shows it always is. But
it's the peak of their life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely the peak of their life. And then the third person running for president is Joey Bombora, who all we know about him initially is that like all the girls think he's super dreamy, and you're like, okay, so like he's just popular. But then the one scene he actually gets in the show, he's also kind of an idiot because he doesn't realize that Richie is also running against him.
Yeah, that's also just kind of a trope they played right into.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, like he ends up winning, and Richie gives this like really fun concession speech. But it just proves that if you're like dumb and handsome and people like you, then you are the best possible candidate to
Exactly.
to run student body president.
Exactly.
Okay, so Richie's running on a joke platform, basically. But what you at least got to give Richie credit for is he's smart. He is funny. He is charismatic. Like, he's up on stage and, like, he gets the crowd engaged with his, very high school teenage boy level comedy. Like, he actually would be a good person for this.
Okay, so let's do our classic game of how would we make this episode better.
Okay.
How I agree. I think something should have happened where in the end Madeline realizes that she's being too controlling because she's trying to, the whole theme is the beginning she's trying to control the school.
Yeah.
So have her, I think we need a scene at the beginning where she's either picketing or doing something where she's trying to control the people of the school just without her power.
Yeah, I think you need to set her up as a character who isn't so smug. Like, she's presented as being, like, really self-interested and obnoxious. I think if you make her a bit more gregarious.
Mm-hmm. I think, okay, here's how I think she should work. She should be a hardcore rebel and advocate, a social advocate.
Okay.
So she's the person, because then you have kind of this conflict of, like, she's controlling people, but she's kind of doing it for the better. Where, like, there's teachers that there's, like, some scandal going on in school and she's trying to bring it up to the people and no one's listening to her. Or she's trying to stop some, we'll go with the obvious trope, or not obvious, the basic trope of a company's trying to cut down a forest. She's trying to stop them, attaching herself to a tree.
Yeah.
And then realizes that she can control people. So she's controlling them to not do this anymore.
Yeah, you could even have it be something simple where, like, they're going to take out, I don't know, like, a garden on campus to build some sort of new building, right? Like, I don't know, like a new extension of the locker room or a new gymnasium or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, so she's fighting for something that she believes in, but maybe not realizing, like, oh, okay, there's some value to basically possibly having the gym. And she's just, like, a little bit short-sighted, but she's ambitious. And yeah, and I think then at least her motivation is a little bit more sympathetic and not just purely self-involved. Because I feel like the way she's set up at the beginning, there's no arc to give her to make her feel redeemed by the end. Because she's right from the beginning, you just don't like her.
Right. And so then I think that would be a really cool balance between you have this person who has a very passionate, so you can still keep the school election thing. Mm-hmm. You have this person who is super passionate about a single issue of, we need to keep the garden, we don't need another sports expansion. We need to think about the other parts of the school.
Yeah.
You have that campaign. You have the dumb jock campaign. And then you have Richie's joke campaign. So now you have, like, this conflict between this joke that no one really cares about and this person that's so passionate she's willing to do whatever it takes to win. And then you can so then when she kind of goes off the deep end and controls people, then you can still have this election at the end where Richie kind of has this realization of, like, oh shit, what she was saying is true. Like, we need to kind of focus on these issues too.
Yeah.
And then he can actually have the debate. You can kind of end the episode with the debate of him learning the lesson of, we should listen to people. And then him, attaching her ideas to his debate, or ending with Virgil and Richie and Frida and Daisy, maybe, like, going and planting a new garden somewhere.
Right. Yeah. I think if you put maybe some of the narrative arc a bit on Richie here, it makes it interesting. Like, if he starts out being like, oh, this school politics stuff, it's just, it's dumb, it's a joke, I'm just going to run on this, like, joke platform. And he realizes, like, oh, I'm actually getting in the way of someone who's actually trying to make a difference. And if that's the reason why Madeline starts to control him, is that he's basically just, like, undercutting the genuine work she's trying to do, then it makes both those stories a bit more interesting.
Yeah. And I think you still end it with her kind of frying her brain and short-circuiting herself. And so then you can even have, like, them with the at the garden, and you see her and she's, like, a flower next to her.
Yeah.
That someone planted in the beginning of the episode.
Because that's also the other thing that makes this episode have terrible messaging is her brain gets fried, and she, like, the last time we see her, she's in some sort of hospital, whether it's like a full-on psychiatric facility or just a normal hospital is unclear. But she's basically just like mindlessly watching like really, really young, like Teletubbies level, like kids shows. These like, and it basically implies that Static fried her until she is like non-functioning now. Like she's not quite like comatose, but I mean she is like no longer functioning at a normal like mental level. And Static's like, she'll be okay. She's not okay.
Yeah.
Like she's not okay at all. Like I was actually like really shocked that that's how this ended. I mean, I get they had to wipe her memory somehow, but then to have her, I mean, she's basically in even a worse mental state than the Riddler is at the end of Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Like,
I am the Batman.
Yeah. And she like, look, she's kind of a brat, but she doesn't really deserve that.
Right. We needed a reason to dislike her more or make her more sympathetic.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like in my mind, that there's like no 14, 15-year-old girl is, mature enough, old enough to like really understand how the world works, and to, like also anyone who had those powers absolutely abused them.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it doesn't matter if you start with having the right intentions, eventually you will start serving your own interests.
Well, I think we even see that with like when Richie's trying to explain to Virgil about how she's a mind manipulator, and you see her standing on a podium with like the people walking circles around her.
Yeah.
That's the G-rated way of abusing her powers.
Yeah, but anyone would do it. I'm sorry. There's no one who's like pure of heart enough to actually use those powers in an effective way. I feel like the only hero exists in comics that their primary power is telepathy is Professor X, and he's also like a huge asshole.
Yeah. So we're gonna see her in one more episode.
Yeah, she comes back again later on. It'd be interesting to see what kind of state she's in.
Yes.
But there were a couple fun little things in here that I really liked, little moments. One is when we get the brief flashback to when she got her powers. It's her attempting to like very ignorantly interview a homeless person who is what's the guy's name? Ragtime?
Yes, Ragtag.
Ragtag. He the guy who can then like give other people Bang Baby powers. He's like standing next to her when the gas hits, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like we get a little sneaky origin for both of them. Mm-hmm. One other thing I thought was interesting is when Madeline goes inside Richie's head, all he's thinking about is Virgil.
Yes.
Yep. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that was if I'm just looking at everything through rainbow tinted glasses. But I don't know. To me, that speaks a little bit to what we talked about before. That I think that it's implied a few places here and there that maybe like Richie might be in love with Virgil. Which also I get it, because the first shot of Virgil in this, when he like goes to take off his costume, he is buff.
Yeah, I mean it's superhero bod.
Yeah, I mean he's never that buff ever again. But for that one moment, I'm like, oh, hello.
So I think in the flashback it should have shown him shocking the vending machine, right?
In the flashback.
Sorry, not flashback. Sorry, the brain. See, when she's going through his brain.
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
For like story continuity, it should have been like you see Richie with the vending machine, because that's what he would be thinking about before his speech, and then it's a shot of Virgil kind of like touching it and the whole thing glowing, and then she can be like, "What's this about?" And then she can like dig deeper, and then you have the flashes of Virgil.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense than like a bunch of shots of the two of them hanging out, and then like this total like dream sequence thing of like Static like floating down from the sky, perfectly framed in the background, and like taking off his mask and flipping his hair.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
so sexually.
I'm here for it. Why not?
I mean, as sexually as they can as 15-year-old cartoon characters.
Yeah, let's not dive too deep into that. I don't know. Any other little things you liked about this episode? Fun moments?
I'm reading the trivia on this right now, but because I was wondering like why Static is immune, but in the trivia section on Wikipedia it says Static's immunity to mind control is carried over into the comics, where it's explained that his electromagnetic field produced by his body prevents him from being controlled in any way, such as when he managed to resist the influence of the anti-life equation during Final Crisis. This may explain not only the massive knockback he caused Madeline's psyche by using his powers on her with less restraint, but is also shown later as the reason why Brainiac's controlling device broke down just seconds after being placed on him in A League of Their Own Part 2.
Oh, that's clever. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. If he kind of has like a constant static field around him, and they're very liberal with how electricity powers work, why not?
Yeah. And this also marks the second time someone has learned his identity.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, after Omnifarious.
Omnifarious.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's it's fun. It's very high school drama, but it's kind of entertaining.
Yeah, I think this if they made this a Halloween episode, it could have been so much more fun.
Yeah, I think if like we said earlier, if they gave her a bit more of an interesting background, or if they maybe leaned into the horror a little bit more, yeah, it could have been kind of fun.
Yeah, especially like imagine this, but now everyone's in costume.
Oh yeah, that would be good. That'd be really good, actually. Do you think they would have like snuck in a Thriller reference? They totally would.
Oh, definitely. Oh, we
I'm
would
kinda
have had
surprised they
reference to
didn't.
everything.
Yeah.
Like it would have just been. I mean, only if they made it 2 parts though.
One part of it is just them recreating the Thriller video.
Yeah.
I mean, I would watch that.
Well, you would have to have like a reference to every zombie movie.
Yeah. I mean, I legitimately would watch an animated, like, shot-for-shot remake of Thriller with Virgil in the Michael Jackson role and Daisy as the girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. That'd be hilarious.
Wait, do we keep Vincent Price as the narrator, or do we have to put in a DCAU voice actor?
Oh, you just get Phil Lamar to do it.
Oh, that's true. He could do it. I was going to suggest Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, that's a good one.
Really just completely shatter the atmosphere of it. All right. Well, shall we move on to Duped?
Yeah. Speaking of great costumes.
Okay. Yeah. So
more purple.
This episode there's so much going on in this episode, but the basic idea is that Virgil and Rubber Band Man, because he's back, go up against a new Bang Baby called Replicon, voiced by Coolio, the great R&B singer Coolio. Basically, the whole story here is that Adam, the real name of Rubber Band Man, is trying to get his CD produced through AJ McLean of the Backstreet Boys.
Yes.
And
oh, man.
Replicon was an old buddy of his who now has the ability to shapeshift. And so basically as a shapeshifter, he tries to sabotage Adam's success for his own. Now, so what I was kind of thrown off by initially, because I didn't realize AJ McLean was actually a guest star in this episode. So
Same. I have no memory of this episode before this.
Yeah. So I was really confused as to why they spent so much time talking about the Backstreet Boys. I was like, okay, I get it. They're making a pop culture reference. It's pretty common for this show, but like they hung on it for a good 2-minute scene.
I don't know. I was so happy because I'm a huge Backstreet Boys fan.
I was going to ask you, are you Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Oh, Backstreet Boys through and through.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen them in concert, 4 times. I sang with Brian.
What?
Yeah, it was when I saw them after high school. So the summer between high school and college, there was the NKO BSB tour, which was New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys touring together.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And there was a moment we had tickets on the aisle, graciously given to me by my mother, who would not let me forget it if I didn't mention that here.
Of course.
And we had aisle seats, and I look up as New Kids are performing, and I see them roping off a section of it and them closing the curtain that led up to the concession area. And I'm like, oh, someone's going to walk down here because security's coming out. And so I like maneuver myself around my friend group. So I'm on the seat right by the aisle. And of course, the lights dim, and then the piano starts coming in, and the song "Shape of My Heart" starts playing, which I sang for my second grade talent show. A great song. It's from the Black and Blue album. And the curtain opens, and Brian is walking down, who is my favorite Backstreet Boys member, and I'm screaming my heart out, trying to get his attention because I love this song. And he stops next to me and chuckles, puts his arm around me, and hands me the mic, and I finish the song with the rest of the Backstreet Boys.
Oh my God.
And it was magical. I was on the Jumbotron. It was a beautiful, beautiful moment.
Was this the greatest moment of your life?
The second greatest moment of my life, yes.
I feel like you can really understand where Frida and Daisy are coming from in this episode.
I can, in a sense, but one of my problems with this episode is I feel like Richie, Frida, and Daisy are all like off character a little bit.
Like they're all a little bit too fangirly.
Yeah, too fangirly and too like caricature of themselves. Like Richie too. Richie's not really fangirling about it, but he's just like, oh, they broke me, Virgil. They gave me food and I didn't know what to do. Like, I'm sorry, I'm so weak.
I see what you mean. It's a little bit caricature-esque, but also I kind of get it. Like Richie, at the end of the day, he's a 14-year-old guy who loves his cheeseburgers and just desperately wants attention.
Yeah.
Also, I understand. I am both those things all the time. In desperate need of cheeseburgers and attention. But I wasn't expecting them to have a full-on cameo. So I'm like, okay, we're spending a lot of time with the Backstreet Boys. And then when they actually go to the record studio and AJ McLean's there, I'm like, oh, now I get it. But also, what are you doing here, AJ McLean?
Yes.
Like, why are you...
Do we want to go into AJ's acting history really quick?
I think we do, yeah, because so after seeing him here, I'm like, okay, is there a reason why he was in this show? Like, is he a big comic book fan or something? Like, what's the deal? And so that led me down a AJ McLean Wikipedia hole, something I legitimately thought I would never do in my entire life.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Wait, so what movies has he been in?
None.
Okay. I love how you said filmography like he had one.
He has been in one other TV show.
Okay.
Where he was outside of stuff that like all of the Backstreet Boys did together.
Yeah.
He was in, let's see, TV and film appearances. He was on Nickelodeon Guts back in 1992. This is before before Backstreet Boys even existed.
Really? Like he was just there as himself? Was he contestant?
Yeah, he was a contestant.
Okay.
And then in 2002, he was on Static. And then his next solo acting appearance was in 2018.
Okay.
When he did a voice of a character on the new Lion King TV series.
I love it.
The
That's so random. I would legitimately expect you to say he was on Entourage at some point because that would fit.
So as the group, the Backstreet Boys performed on Arthur, Sesame Street, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and SNL. And then, of course, and This Is the End.
Oh, that's one of their best cameos, though. That is a really good one.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out like what his comic connection is, and you did the same thing, and it both led us to this amazing thing that I had no idea existed. And it was collaboration between the Backstreet Boys and Stan Lee called...
Oh, hold on. Let's be specific. It's Nick Carter and Stan Lee.
Oh, that's true. Nick Carter co-wrote it.
Yes.
Called The Backstreet Project, where the 5 members of the band... I'm just going to read you the plot synopsis off of Wikipedia.
Yes, please. It's so bizarre.
So it begins when the Backstreet Boys are in the midst of one of their concerts. As they're performing on stage, a spacecraft crashes near the stadium. The members rush into the woods to the crash site, and there they find an alien. The alien gives each of them an enchanted amulet embedded with mystic crystals, and they learn that she's on a mission to protect Earth from an alien invasion. When the band wear the amulets, their DNA gets twisted by a virtual genetic cyclone that gives them each astonishing superpowers. the superhero form of the Backstreet Boys is the Cyber Crusaders.
Yes. So just Green Lantern, just the Green Lantern backstory.
Yeah, basically just the Green Lantern backstory. They each have an alter ego. So Nick Carter
it's so bad.
is Ninja Man, who's a martial arts expert. Howie is an illusioner who can create three-dimensional illusions and mental telepathy. AJ is Ordnance. He's an excellent marksman. He's equipped with laser guns. Brian is top speed, able to generate spheres of energy and jump great heights. And the last one is Kevin Richardson is Power Lord, who has super strength and specifically can lift a Harrier jet.
Yes.
Also, I feel like, should that be my new nickname, Power Lord?
Yes, it should. So what also made this comic interesting, quote, big air quotes on interesting, is it was one of the first web comics. So it came out digitally first.
Right.
And you could only buy physical copies at the Backstreet Boys concerts.
Of course.
But they were not known as web comics back then. They were known as cyber comics.
Oh,
and I don't know
God.
what about that makes me so frustrated.
I think because every step, like every element of the story you go down gets more and more early 2000s. Like starting out with Static Shock, starting out then with a Backstreet Boy member having a voiceover cameo appearance on a kid's cartoon, to them having their own superhero comic that was released as a cyber comic specifically. Also, there were webisodes.
Yes.
Too. And apparently Burger King made action figures of them.
Yes. And for people wondering if this was a good comic or how long this comic run lasted, it was one issue.
And even then is being generous with one.
Yes. So with AJ and the Backstreet Boys, there's another WB connection. For the timeline, the Backstreet Project was in 2000 2001.
Yeah.
So it was a couple of years before Static Shock. But in 1997, for a week, the Backstreet Boys took over Kids WB in preparation for their new music video of Backstreet's Back.
They did?
They did. And there's a bunch of interstitials on YouTube, and they're bad actors.
Oh my God.
They are bad actors.
We will link them in the show notes. That is fantastic.
Yes, that was their first connection to Kids WB, and then the comic, and then this. And also what's very fascinating about the timing of this, I don't know if you did your Backstreet Boy research as in depth as I did.
I'm sure I did.
A month before this episode came out, the Backstreet Boys broke up.
No, really?
Yes. So I was frantically Googling why there were no, you would expect in the same way that Shaq took over Kids WB for the day of the Static Shack episode.
Yeah.
I was expecting AJ to take over for that day, that Saturday morning, or, the Backstreet Boys to take over for that Saturday morning. And I learned because the Backstreet Boys had just broken up, none of them did any press for, I think it was 2 years.
Oh my God.
And then they had their reunion album in 2004 and then continued to not do press.
Jesus Christ. Also, I really would have loved if there was a three-way crossover with Static Shock and the Backstreet Boys and Shaq, and it was Backstreet Shaq.
That's good.
Yeah, I want that. I want that now. It's so random. Honestly, the rest of the plot doesn't really matter. It's exactly what you expect it to be. They eventually figure out that Replicon has disguised himself as AJ and all is right with the world. So I do want to talk about Coolio. But before we do that, before we get to the most important part of this episode, talking about Coolio, I do want to acknowledge that Rubber Band Man actually is kind of a unique comic book character. So if you think about it, he's a reformed villain who's now a fully fledged and accepted hero. His secret identity is publicly known. Mm-hmm. He actually has a legitimate career going on top of his superheroing and is known for both. And a stable
relationship.
And a stable relationship, yes. He is a unicorn amongst heroes. There is an argument to be made that he is the most well-rounded, fleshed-out superhero ever because he is able to do the things that no one else is able to do.
Yeah. So with the public identity thing, one thing that I found fascinating is he's no longer like a celebrity.
Oh yeah, I guess
It's
that's
like,
true.
yeah, like he walks around and does his normal stuff and no one really cares.
Yeah, it's like his like fall from grace helped kind of pull him out of the public eye, and now like he's like I think basically recognized as like being respected by like law enforcement and by the community and stuff. But yeah, he's not like a celebrity anymore. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
So I have a weird question. I have one specific person in mind.
Okay.
But is there a celebrity in the real world who you think is as grounded and well versed in the world as Rubber Band Man?
Who's his Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves is up there. I had a conversation about this person this week, and so that's why he's top of mind.
Okay.
Jack Black.
Oh yeah, I've heard that about Jack Black.
Is kind of this unicorn of actors where I think we even made the joke on the podcast. Jack Black is the kind of famous that kids think famous is.
That's true. Yeah, he's famous for being everything.
Well, for being everything, and also just does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do a concert. I'm gonna write a song with my best friend about how the devil's fart smells, and we're gonna go on tour. And then I'm going to go play video games with my kid and then go do this movie real quick. And then I was going to pop over to South Korea and do a game show and then come back home and play more video games.
I love Jack Black. Also, like, I think he's kind of underappreciated as an actor.
I think so too. I think because he's this huge personality in real life, like his real life character is more, it feels more action, like not action. Like it feels like he's acting more in real life than he is in his movies.
Yeah, like he's such a big personality to begin with, but like you put him into a movie and it's not like he has to get that much bigger. I mean, I still love him playing a teenage girl in the Jumanji movies.
Oh, they're great.
He's so good in that. But also like School of Rock is a great film and he's really, really good in it.
Nacho Libre.
I've actually never seen Nacho Libre.
It's worth a watch. It's very dumb. It's very much the like. I would compare it similar to Napoleon Dynamite, where it was like the early independent film era.
I feel like they're of a similar cut from the same cloth.
And there's another movie that came out a couple years ago where it's like it's a serious movie he's in.
Is it Bernie?
Bernie, I kept wanting to say Bruno. Yeah, Bernie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure that's also Richard Linklater who directed School of Rock. Who let's take a tangent upon a tangent here to talk about the fact that Richard Linklater is like genuinely one of the most like bizarrely versatile directors out there. So this is the guy who did Boyhood, the movie that was shot over 12 years. He did the Before trilogy, which is one of the greatest trilogies of cinema ever made. He also did School of Rock. He did the Bad News Bears, like the remake of it. He just does like all these random things.
Well, let's not forget his most famous movie, in my opinion, is Dazed and Confused.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Dazed and Confused is definitely like what he's kind of most known for.
And then its spiritual sequel, Everyone Wants Some, which is a great movie that no one watched.
I really need to see that.
It's good.
I mean, it's got Tyler Hoechlin in very short 1970s shorts. So what am I doing wasting my time?
Scanner Darkly.
Yeah.
Bad News Bears.
He's a great. Okay, but now that we've acknowledged the Rubber Band Man is like legitimately probably one of the best heroes ever, it's time to talk about Coolio.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So I when I first saw the character, I'm like, oh, that looks like Coolio. And then I eventually looked it up, like, okay, yeah, he's also voiced by Coolio, which makes sense. Now, again, I was like, wait, does Coolio have some sort of like connection with comics? Because I don't know if you remember this, Cameron, but Coolio has a cameo appearance in Batman and Robin.
I did not remember that.
He runs the like neon psychedelic motorcycle race that Barbara participates in. And so when I was doing my research on Coolio, yet again, another thing I thought I would never do in my entire life, I discovered that according to him at least, I can't find any other sources on this, but that he did that cameo in Batman and Robin because he was told he could play the Scarecrow in the sequel that never happened.
Oh.
Because I had heard that Nicolas Cage was being considered to play the Scarecrow. I also heard that Howard Stern was being considered. I'd never heard Coolio was before.
I feel like Coolio just like makes up roles for himself.
I feel like this was a thing where he was probably like pestering Joel Schumacher on the set. And Joel Schumacher was like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. Just like do your thing and like maybe we can bring you back and like you can be a villain in the next movie. And then he later on heard the villain was supposed to be the Scarecrow. And so now he's like made this mental connection to himself of saying like, oh, I was supposed to be the Scarecrow. Because I just don't see it.
Oh, no, neither do I.
No. Like I
Apparently
could
he's
see...
also in Daredevil.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at his filmography. He has a lot of very interesting appearances.
He's in so much stuff.
Yeah, he's in Sabrina. He's in Kenan and Kel, Batman and Robin.
He does the theme song of Kenan and Kel.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah. He was in Duckman, The Nanny, Leprechaun in the Hood, the Convent. I don't know what that is. Yeah, Static. Yeah, he had a cut appearance in Daredevil.
Charmed, the TV series.
Oh, I forgot he voiced Kwanzaa in
Futurama. And then most
Gravity
recently,
Falls?
Yeah, I was about to say the show I just finished rewatching. He's a wax figure in Gravity Falls.
I mean, I don't really know much about Coolio. He seems like an odd dude, but hey, you know what? He's beyond his like very successful like music career. He's had a pretty good run of just random cameo appearances.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Who was it in the first Fast and Furious movie? Who was it that was replaced by Ludacris?
Ja Rule?
Ja Rule. I thought Coolio. I replaced Ja Rule and Coolio.
Ja Rule, now famous for his involvement in the Fyre Fest.
Yes.
What? You know what? Sometimes I think we actually are living in a computer simulation and these random glitches happen.
Yeah.
Like, even this episode of Static Shock, like, 2 very dated cameo appearances in one episode.
Oh, and there's more because Mr. Biggs, I assume, is supposed to be Suge Knight.
Oh, yeah, probably.
And a play on Biggie Smalls. And also we have a J-Lo name drop in there.
We do have a J-Lo name drop. I mean, hey, at least J-Lo is still relevant.
Yes. And I forgot to mention in the first episode, Attack of the Living Brain Puppets, there was a name drop that I was shocked that I got, which I think you might have missed. When Virgil walks in and Richie's punching the vending machine, he says, "You don't need to go all De La Hoya on it."
Oh, yeah.
And Oscar De La Hoya was a huge boxer in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very excited. As someone who misses boxing dearly, it was nice to hear a boxing cameo.
It gave you that little bit of boxing you need right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. What a weird episode. Also, the first time we've ever seen Frida and Daisy together.
Right. The one that replaced the other are now friends.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That they're friends. I don't know if they're ever together again, but, you know.
I think at this point, they're kind of like a foursome.
Yeah,
I think Frida starts to work her way back in the story.
Yeah, I like Frida. I was glad to see her make a reappearance.
Yeah, because the next episode is focusing a lot on Frida.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, our
the next
season 2 finale.
It's going to be it's a rough one. It's probably the second hardest episode to watch.
I don't know anything about it other than when it was primed to start up on DC Universe after watching this week's episode. The introductory sentences in this very special episode of Static Shock. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, it's a rough one.
If a kids show is calling itself out as being a very special episode, it's going to be a lot. So
yeah. I'm excited for you to watch this one.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else on this episode?
I think that's everything.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and move on to bat plugs here? So I know, Cameron, you've been great about going on and doing some plugs on the Instagram story. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
But what else have you been catching up on with your extra free time now?
So I have 2 things to plug, and they're very unique plugs for me. One is a book, because I'm physically reading a book right now.
You're physically reading an actual book?
I am. And it's a book that I've been meaning to read for years.
You know,
And
when I told you once that it would take the apocalypse for you to actually read a book, I didn't mean for it to actually happen.
No, but it did. It did.
Fuck.
It's a book I've been meaning to read for a while, and I'm glad I finally picked it up because it's very bizarre.
Okay.
I'm reading Who Censored Roger Rabbit.
Oh,
The
nice.
book, yes, the book that the movie is based off of.
How is it so far?
It's good. It's very different.
Okay.
So I think I've mentioned this before when we did our Roger Rabbit solo episode, that the book focuses on comic strip characters and not cartoon characters.
Right.
But with them being comic strip characters, they're able to duplicate themselves because they're needed in multiple panels.
Oh.
And so as this story goes, the main Roger is murdered as Eddie's trying to Roger's having a fight with his managers because there's rumor out in Hollywood that he's wanted for a solo story to be a lead of his own strip, but they're not letting him do it with his contract.
Okay.
And so then Roger is murdered, and his clone, which only lasts for like 48 hours, is left. And so it's Eddie Valiant and the Roger clone trying to figure out
interesting.
Who murdered Roger. Yeah.
It definitely sounds darker.
It's very dark. But it's written very, it's very, what's his face? Douglas Adams-esque.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very like bouncy writing, which I like.
Tongue in cheek and kind of whimsical.
Yeah.
So are you reading this as a book because you literally couldn't find it in any other medium?
Well, I was worried about getting the audiobook because I thought there might have been pictures. I thought there might have actually been like comic strips as a part of it.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's all pictures. Sorry, it's all words.
Well, nice.
Yeah, and the chapters are one of the other reasons I like reading this one is I feel like I'm accomplishing a lot because every chapter is only like 3 pages.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I'll read like one chapter while I'm waiting for a video to render.
Yeah, it's like a James Patterson novel.
Yeah. But then the other thing I want to plug really quick, and this one is a very unique kind of plug, but through Khan Academy, the free kind of online schooling website, there's a unique class that has come out called Imagineering in a Box.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And it's this kind of 4-part video essay series about what it takes to be an Imagineer. And kind of at the end of it, you kind of get to build your own theme park.
Oh my God, this is the dead center of your wheelhouse.
Exactly. So I've just finished the first section, which is all about like how to theme a land and how to, like how do you get around? What does it look like? What kind of feel do you want with your people going in? What feel do you want with them coming out of the land? All this really cool stuff and like stuff I never really thought about when I would sketch other theme parks.
Yeah.
And then the next section, which I'm going to start after this podcast, is all about how to design rides.
That's really cool. How long are the classes?
They're short. Each section is only about 5 minutes. It's very digestible. Yeah, so it's a 5-minute video and then kind of like a task to do that kind of builds on. So I have a sketch of my park. I have like a V1 sketch. Mm-hmm. And then for each lesson, it's like, okay, here's how you should plan your buildings and what they should kind of be in the feel of them. Okay, now here's what the walkway should be in the feel of them. And then it ends with like the fight between theming and efficiency. Of like, if you want your theme, if you want the land to feel like adventurous and discovery, and you have all these kind of tight turns to reveal things as you walk through, you also have to think about that there's 5,000 people an hour all trying to do this at the same time. So how do you have these kind of tight, mysterious spaces while also not causing traffic jams?
Oh, weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's brought me so much joy this week.
Yeah. How'd you find it?
So one of the Disney accounts posted about it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so once I'm done with the class, I'll do like an Instagram live or something where I'll kind of walk through the theme park I created.
Oh, cannot wait. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I mean, also along similar lines, you do have one more plug
Do I?
for
I
Disney.
do. Thank
Yes.
you.
Let me remind you of your own plug.
Yes. So as I think I've brought up before on the podcast, I have an animated series I've been doing with Disney called Positively Mini, and we had our third episode come out last week. So if we'll post it in the show notes. But if you go to YouTube or Instagram sometime soon, and you Google Positively Mini, episode 3 is about Minnie's morning routine. And it's very cute and it's very sweet and it's very quarantine friendly.
As all good content should be these days.
Yes.
No, but I mean, that's awesome. Like, yeah, I've seen them. They're all really, really sweet. Just like really fantastic, like fun visual storytelling. You've done a great job with those. So
Thank you so much.
yeah. But yeah, I'll absolutely post those in the show notes. You can go check them out.
Mm-hmm. What are your plugs? What are you watching, reading, listening?
Unsurprisingly, I have been reading a book. Just finished a book actually, and it's what Cameron. I think you would quite like it. So it's called Meddling Kids.
I'm already down. It sounds Scooby-Doo.
By Edgar Quintero. And so it basically the idea it's a Scooby Gang proxy, so there's like the 4 teenagers and their dog. And in 1977, they, were like the summer detective sort of thing, this like group. And they uncovered this mystery about a monster out at a lake. And they're like local heroes for it and everything. And then the bulk of the story takes place now when they're in their early mid-20s and the early 90s, and they've all been complete wrecks ever since. So like and this isn't really a spoiler, it's very early on in the book, but like the Fred archetype has like became a TV star, and then he killed himself, and Shaggy is in a mental institute, and then the Daphne Velma characters are like kind of changed up a little bit. So they kind of combine Daphne and Velma into like the cool hot girl who's also like the genius, and then the kind of fourth character is the protagonist, Andy. And she's like the tomboy, and she's been just doing random odd jobs ever since. But like they're basically all still distraught from something that happened to them when they were solving this mystery, 10 years ago. And they basically realize they have to go back to the lake town to figure out what happened. And it's, this idea of like, was there actually something supernatural going on there? And so it's fun. Like they do a good job of taking like the Scooby-Doo archetypes and turning them a little bit and playing with them. But a lot of the staples are still there. I mean, it's right there in the title. There are definitely times when it feels like maybe this started out as a spec script and then became a novel. There's like weird little things. I found the prose kind of like odd, and I can't really put my finger on it. But like there are also times when the writer will, instead of doing traditionally in a novel, like you'll just have like lines of dialogue like one after the other between characters. He'll do this thing where he'll just go into sections where he'll put the character's name and then colon and then what they're saying, and it's a little bit distracting.
Okay.
But like it definitely feels like would have been a spec script for like a rated R, like edgy Scooby-Doo style movie that became its own thing. But for its own thing, it's actually quite a bit of fun. Like I definitely liked it a lot.
Yeah,
so,
the way you're describing it sounds kind of a mix of like Scooby-Doo and like the second half of It.
Yeah, a little bit. Like there's definitely some elements of it in there. Like in the same sort of way, like, like Brightburn is what if Superman was a villain? Like,
yeah,
that's kind of what this is. Like, hey, let's take
what
this.
if Scooby-Doo is written by Stephen King?
Yeah, exactly. Like take this archetypal character and do something different with it. But it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, and then very rare for me, I've been playing a video game too.
You have?
I've been playing Jedi Fallen Order because I was like, okay, we're about ready to go into quarantine. I'm going to have a little bit of downtime on my hands. Let's go ahead and pick up a video game. I've heard it's a fun one. But I could tell how long it had been since I played a video game because when I went to go do the hour and a half necessary updates for both the Xbox and the game before I could actually play, I had to connect my Xbox to my wireless network, and I've been living in my apartment for over a year. So it's been a long time since I played a video game. It's not quite what I expected. Like I was expecting something kind of in the vein of Force Unleashed, which that first game is still one of my all-time favorite games. I probably played it through 5 or 6 times. This is more like Tomb Raider, but with a Jedi. Like,
Okay.
So, even to the point of like you're climbing around, or there's moments when you'll slide down like an ice luge sort of thing, but you're doing puzzles and you're uncovering secrets and mysteries. But it's a good story, and like the combat is definitely not Force Unleashed. Like Force Unleashed was just like, hey, go out there and just like smash buttons and beat the shit out of people. This is all based around more of like a parry system, where if someone goes to attack you, you're meant to like block at just the right time to then like deflect an attack. And that part is a little bit tricky to kind of figure out. But it's cool. It's good world building. It's set, I think, 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. So there's a lot of elements of the prequels in there. Like your character starts out at a spaceship disassembly yard, taking apart old Republic era Star Destroyers, which is pretty cool. And like some of the characters from Rebels are in there. So like the kind of the main villains are the Inquisitors, which are these Force sensitive like pseudo Sith characters that are out there hunting down Jedi. But,
interesting.
yeah, it's fun. It's if you like Star Wars, if you like those kind of games, or if you like Force Unleashed, I think this is kind of close enough in that same sort of vein. It's well worth a play. So
Nice. Yeah, it's something that's been on my list to check out for a little bit.
yeah, no, it's worth it. Give it a go. So
Yeah. Maybe once I'm done with Animal Crossing, I'll check it out.
oh yeah, how's Animal Crossing been?
Life threatening.
Like life-threatening as in it's threatening to consume you, or life-threatening is the game regularly threatens to kill you if you don't keep playing?
A little both.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely ruined my sleep schedule, which is already not great.
Wait, do you actually have to be like awake at certain times?
No, I have such a bad gaming addiction.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So usually
we're recording this on a Sunday. Are you about to go participate in the stock market?
Oh, I did it before we
You did it?
started.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Animal Crossing other than on Sundays there's this thing called the stock market, STALK, which you explained to me.
Yes.
It's like a farmer's market sort of thing, right?
No, it's like a stock market kind of thing.
Oh, okay, but with like corn stalks.
Oh, with turnip stocks.
Turnip stocks, even better.
Yeah, so every Sunday you have a character appear on your island and you can buy turnips from them. And then throughout the week, if you go and talk to the people you sell stuff to, Timmy and Tommy Nook, every day they'll buy the turnips at a different price. So most days it'll be lower. So usually buy them around $90 to $100 per turnip. And then sometimes they'll buy them at like 110. They'll buy them usually at like 60. But then every couple weeks, on a rare occasion, you'll be able to buy them for like $450.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So it's, teaching kids how the stock market works pretty early.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. I
Yes.
love it. All right. Well, I think that does it for us this week.
Yes, our first quarantined episode done.
Our first quarantine episode, we did it. We made it through. Hopefully, the audio quality is it's good. We'll figure that out very soon. But yeah, I'm very curious if anyone has any amusing stories about high school student body politics. I want to know if anyone actually ever had like a real like dramatic experience doing that in any sort of way.
Yes.
Was it actually meaningful to anyone, or was it just like as passive and pointless as it seems to be in real life?
Yes.
We would
also,
love to
question
hear those
part
stories.
2 to that. Yeah, question part 2 to that. Does anyone have any fun, cool, over-the-top stories about Coolio?
Yeah.
We'd also love to hear that.
Yes. Yes, send us your real life experiences with Coolio. Joel Schumacher, if you listen to this, what was it like working with him
Yes,
on
please
Batman
share.
and Robin? Yeah, and was he going to be the Scarecrow?
Yeah.
Very curious. But yeah, you can find us at Tim Talk Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail. We'd also love to know what you guys are doing to keep yourselves busy during the quarantine. Very curious about that. So
Yes. Yeah, share all of your plugs.
and then Cameron, where can they find you?
You can find me on my 2 archived Instagram pages. If you want to see my art, you can find that at Cameron.Dexter. And if you want to see my face, you can find that at CamDexter_adventures.
Is your main one considered archive because you can't go to Disneyland anymore, so there's no content for it?
Yes, I can't do anything.
I'm so sorry, Cameron.
It's all right. I'm surviving.
We'll power through.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me at Lordifer on Instagram. I mean, not that I'm really posting anything. I'll probably post some Lego stuff since I've been, building.
Yeah. Share your big Lego stuff.
Yeah, building Legos in the meantime. But thank you as always for listening. Sorry we had to take a bit of a break there, but now that we seem to have worked out the kinks, we'll be back on our normal schedule.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Superhero Static Shock.
Whoop, whoop.